level shift in your consciousness, or just ever wondered if the universe was sending you signs? Well, I want to go into 5 symptoms and signs that you are spiritually ascending. Let's go. Ascension is a spiritual, esoteric, or metaphysical context. Generally refers to the process of moving into a higher state of consciousness or existence. It often involves a transformational journey that goes beyond the physical realm and encompasses spiritual, emotional, and mental dimensions. While interpretations of ascension vary among different belief systems, there are some common themes associated with this concept. Let's talk about 5 symptoms and signs that are often linked to the idea of ascension. So, thank you for being here. Let's talk about ascension. And these are 5 symptoms and signs that I have either experienced myself or I have witnessed others experience. And just through my different studies and like reading different books and watching different videos, following different people, this is a collective thing. There are more than just a few people that have experienced these things. And some of these things you may have actually heard of already. So the first is going to be a desire for personal growth. You just get to a point in your life where what you've been doing is not enough. Who you are, you desire to become more. You truly desire personal growth. For me, I remember when I was about 24, 25 years old, I was dabbling. I think I had just started cosmetology school. No, I was coming out of cosmetology school. And I was dabbling in different like what is it? Like this, they call it pyramid schemes. Multi-level marketing companies. Like I was in and out of that. Like I've always done those for some reason. And so I was just, dabbling in some of those different things. And I remember the book, The Secret, was brought to my attention. And I remember I just loved the name of the book. I was like, The Secret. And I'm like, that's really clever, right? To call a book The Secret, because now I want to know what the secret is. So I read the book, and I would say that was the first time I read a book and was like, my mind opened up even more. I remember reading that book, and I remember realizing, I was like, oh wow, like I've got choices. Like I can make decisions. And I know that may sound silly to some people, but for me it was huge because I had grown up in a very religious family. And at that point I was married and I had a child, and I was pretty much living by what I had been told and what I had been taught, right? And when I say I was raised in a very religious background, that was like Southern Baptist. Like that was the first introduction to religion for me. And then as I got older, we went to non-denominational churches, and like, it wasn't much different, but it was a little different. But like I was very much I wanted to present that I was going by the book of the Bible. But there was this other side of me that was like, I don't know about all this. Like some of this sounds very contradictory. Like some of this just is not adding up, right? So that's when I tapped into the book of The Secret. And so just that example right there is like, I desired personal growth. I desired to know what the secret was. And the book was brought to my attention from this multi-level marketing company that I was working with. And that was one of their, I guess, coaching tools to kind of help you tap into a different way of thinking, right? Well, did it help me tap into a different way of thinking? So yeah, you may find yourself like just desiring to grow. So you may be reading books, you may be doing research, you may decide that you want to go to a spiritual retreat. You may find yourself visiting metaphysical stores. You may just find yourself, diving deep into stuff on the internet and researching things and questioning things. That's all a part of personal growth, like that desire for personal growth. Seeking something more, wanting to understand more about yourself and all of what's going on around you. Next is going to be physical changes and sensations. So with this, I know everyone's probably heard of the third eye. So one of the sensations one may feel when they're ascending is pressure, tingling, or some type of movement or sensation in their forehead, and specifically around the third eye area. That can be a symptom or a sign of your third eye becoming activated or opening up, especially if you are doing things to open your third eye. And not all the time do you have to do things to open your third eye. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes it's just time for that. So that would be one of the physical changes and sensations. Another thing that I would say would be more on the lines of physical changes is some people just literally physically change. Now, for example, there are pictures of me from years ago. I do not look like the same person anymore. It's literally like, and I will look at old pictures of myself and I'm just like, wow, all the lives we live, I am not the same person. I don't even physically look like the same person. It's like I pretty much like stepped into a time machine and changed my body, changed my face. Like, I do not look like the same person that I looked like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So you can have like literal physical changes. And I have not only seen this in myself, it has been brought to my attention about myself, and I have seen it numerous times in other people. Numerous times. Especially with my, you may end up finding yourself with a spiritual community or other like-minded people. I've seen that happen amongst people that I'm close to. They physically change, literally. Their entire body, their demeanor, like specifically their body changes, absolutely changes. It's like one of the most amazing things ever for me to witness is seeing somebody physically change due to spiritual ascension. Next, I have emotional release and healing. So what comes to mind when I think of emotional release and healing is you get to a point when you're ascending where you may find yourself forced, or you may feel forced into addressing some emotional wounds or traumas in order to heal. Because there's certain things you can't take from this level of consciousness to the next level of consciousness. It's those things that keep you, it's those particular things that keep you separate from different levels of consciousness. So as you ascend, spirit will require you to address some things and heal those things, and then from there will be an ascension. So if you find yourself having old things that you thought were done and over with, if you're finding those things come back up to the surface, you could be in the midst of an ascension. And I would say just embrace it, take it on. It's not gonna always feel good. You may not always understand, but just go through it and understand that you can trust that process. And on the other side of that is healing. On the other side of that is you becoming a more whole soul woman, a more whole soul man, and you stepping into a new level of consciousness where those things, they're no longer present. They're no longer a factor in your life. Another thing you may notice when it comes to emotional release and healing, you may find yourself possibly having like maybe like a violent type of release or clearing. I specifically have experienced that at one point in time in my life, maybe a couple of times. But when I say violence, it's not like you're hurting anyone. I haven't experienced that. And if you do, I mean, but when I say violent, it's not like what we see on television, like someone's getting hurt. It's just more of like the reaction of the person that's clearing or releasing stored and built up trauma and wounds and old, stagnant, unneeded energy that cannot go with you to the next level of consciousness. And so if you experience that, that can definitely be a symptom or a sign of ascension and you stepping into a new level of consciousness. If you do experience that, I would highly advise that you have other people around you that understand what that is and can support you and be with you as you navigate that process, because that is a very vulnerable process and it's not one to be taken lightly. It should be in the presence of those that can support you and can show you the care that you need. Next is a heightened awareness. So this is another really interesting symptom and sign of ascension. When you start having heightened awareness, it can come off many ways. Like you could tap into some empathic abilities, just being able to sense those around you that need healing, that need help, that need care and nurture. This is very much like the living soul nurturer archetype. It's that mother archetype. It's very feminine and submissive type of energy. So you can find yourself more sensitive to other people's emotions and feelings, especially those of maybe more negative. Now, it doesn't have to be negative. You can also pick up on, really high vibrational energy. Another way that you may experience heightened awareness would be just really, you step outside. I remember this happened to me as well, is one day you may just step outside and it all just clicks. You're just like, oh wow, we all are connected. Like there is a true